will be ranting about a webcomic called I Am a Child of This House. This, just like Who Made Me a Princess, is a fantasy historical fiction isekai. I am a child of this house. It's a sweet story, but I'm starting to lose interest in it. Here may be some of the reasons why. The female lead, eSTELLE, isn't really interesting. She doesn't have a clear goal or motivation, and her actions don't make sense some of the time. One moment she's overwhelmed and extremely grateful. The next moment she's completely used to all the luxuries. One moment she's completely trusting. The next, she's fully aware of what a bad person is planning and tells them off. There could be some reasons that could explain this behavior, but even so, it's still all too wild and confusing. I feel like I don't know who she is anymore, and I find it hard to make any connection to her. The male lead, EMEL, which is the grandest issue for me. He's introduced and seen as a caring, overprotective, older knightly brother figure in the beginning, then becomes the love interest later on? What? It feels awkward having him as the male lead because he first met eSTELLE when she was still pretty much a child, and he was a young adult. They're supposedly 7 years apart, but since they met each other when eSTELLE was still young, it makes their relationship seem the least romantic. However, the story pushes them to be romantic toward each other. The two together doesn't feel natural, and the story would have been so much better without romance in the picture. The way everything just works out. At the start, eSTELLE is worried about her family not accepting her, but when she finally meets them, she finds out that they already like her and that there was nothing to worry about. The time she was kidnapped, her family saved her just in time too. Everything just solves itself way too easily, and I wish we actually got something out of these experiences, because they seriously had potential. EMEL'S personality. Yep, there's more about him I have to rant about. For a long while, we see him as a kind and gentle character with good intentions, but later on we discover that he has a much darker side and sinister side to him when eSTELLE isn't around. Yes, the bad boy trope is quite common, but if this is what they were going for, then they didn't do it well at all. In these tropes, the female lead sees the bad side of the male lead, but then discovers the nicer side of him. However, in this story, eSTELLE sees the good side of EMEL, but discovers that he's actually cruel and someone to be feared when she's not around. It would make more sense if he was cruel before meeting eSTELLE, than becoming a truly better person after meeting her. But nope. Even after meeting eSTELLE, he's still cruel, which shows that their relationship is meaningless since eSTELLE didn't make a positive change in him. I'm also extremely upset with how eSTELLE reacts to his cruelty. She's mad, not at EMEL, but at herself? It's like she's being controlled or forced to like EMEL, even though there's so many reasons not to. Again, it feels unnatural and forced. Oh, and here's one thing I really did like about the story. The way they chose to go along with the I was reborn trope. Someone commented about this before, but they truly had a good point. The story went with this in a natural and believable way, as eSTELLE didn't remember all of her past life, since she has the mind of a child. And the mind of a child doesn't have the space for a grown-up's consciousness. There is a downside to this, however, and that is the fact that her being reborn doesn't really play a part in the story. Her past self isn't important, except for maybe causing her to act more maturely as a child, but other than that, there's no purpose for it. I think that's all for I Am a Child of This House. Even though it has its downsides, when I look past them, I really do enjoy the story. Yeah, well, not anymore, past self. I do not like it. I believe that it really has the potential to become a better story, but there's not much I can do. Sadly, I think it'll be hard to enjoy the story now that the romance will start to play a bigger part in it, and I think that it'll soon float away from my consciousness, which it did. That was actually a pretty good prediction. Edit. The story was really good in the first part, but after eSTELLE grew up, it got worse. I forgot to say goodbye. Whoa, another Who Made Me a Princess rant? Ooh.